so this is a long time coming.
I guess.
Pumped to finally meet in real life.
It's true. I had kind of like jumped and bear hugged you when I saw you yesterday at the pre-party, but stoked to be here. Clouds are hopefully clearing up, and so this is gonna be sweet.
So the best part about this is you really don't have any idea what I'm about to ask you.
I mean, kind of. And I'm like, what are you about to ask me? I haven't had my coffee yet, but
well, it's a level playing field. I've only had, I guess I've had one coffee, so we're good. But why don't you introduce yourself first for people who don't know you?
Yeah, I'm Adam. I work at Klue. I lead the content and community team there. So everything that entails.
Awesome. What does your world look like in terms of what you're focused on, priorities and whatnot right now?
What do we everything? But when we narrow it down, I think brand building is a big one actually, right, in content. Mm-hmm. Working with creators, influencing the space. I think actually kind of like changing how folks are working with creators has been a big goal of ours. I'm working to, I don't know, find ways to work with creators that's like mutually beneficial.
Yep.
Has been a big one from like a brand building side.
Yep.
And then obviously with the community lens, that's been a huge focus in terms of not just like a community of practice, like folks in our space, helping them do their job better, but also working with customers, helping customers be more successful. I mean, like every company right now, retention is a big focus. And so a lot of the stuff from the community standpoint has got like that kind of lens on it right now.
Love it. Yeah, I told you last night that my new hire, he's constantly sharing stuff that you all are doing. So I've really been digging what Klue has been pumping out. But let's get into it. So first question will be a fun one. What is your biggest issue that you have with buying B2B software?
What is the biggest issue I have?
And you can get on your soapbox.
Ooh. Buying B2B software. Couple of things. Terrible outreach to me. Like 98% of the time, I'm not even replying to the emails because they're so bad and it's so generic. I've been getting, I know this isn't B2B software, but just a terrible outreach. The Minnesota Wild NHL team, for some reason, are reaching out to me to sponsor me. Like, we are a Vancouver-based tech company. I don't know why you want us to sponsor you. I don't know where the benefit is. That's a little tangent there, but I think that like the same practices kind of play out as like the bad outreach for me is the part that is probably, it's the first barrier to entry, right? So that would be my main one.
So I feel like you have to be a Canucks fan, right?
I mean, I'm British, so I'm a fake Canucks fan. I mean, they're good now, so I can like...
Yeah, so what you should do is just reply back with like a screenshot of the standings, because I think the Canucks are better than the Wild this year, so that would be hilarious.
They're no one yet. Sorry, sir. And we're not even investing in this either.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's the last piece of software that you bought in your role at Klue?
A lot of our software, there's been like smaller purchases really for content community. It's been a lot because we're focused so much on like media production in-house.
Yep.
So a lot of the stuff that's just like the software that will help us edit quicker, like using Riverside for kind of production stuff when we do our big events. It's just some of the like easy pieces we're working with Riverside being really good. A lot of the show recordings, just doing all the kind of things in there. So that'll be one from like an editing side. I gotta get Grayson over here. He's the one that's always asking me for budget for different things that help him do his job better. But I would say Riverside's a big one. And then some of the different ones, we've got a bunch of different podcasts and shows, so just a couple of places that can help just like publish and distribute and have all the analytics in one there. So
how did you just land on, any of those tools? What did that process look like?
Riverside, I probably got incepted with Riverside, probably by you just kind of see it everywhere. I got the little logo up. I just had I went back when I was a content team of one and trying to do our own podcast, shoot it, edit it. It was horrific. No one go look it up. But doing it on Zoom and like the outbreaks of like 30 seconds where you're nodding, but the person cut out and now the audio's screwed. That was the pain. And I was like, there's got to be an easier way. And it's something as simple as Riverside, like, hey, it records locally. You're good. You don't have to worry about that. What's the big reason there?
What's the worst experience that you've ever had buying software?
Maybe I shouldn't name names, but we were.
You don't have to name names, but you can.
It was. I will tell you. I'm not joking you. The demo was so bad. The solutions engineer came on, and the solutions engineer, who's supposed to be the the tech whiz.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd seen a computer before. Not to stereotype, but he was an older fella.
Yeah.
Long gray beard. I'm like, this guy does not know how to work a computer, and you're supposed to be walking me through this tech. And I was rolling on the floor laughing in our office. And my boss was also in his stage. We couldn't keep our face straight. The software was, we were looking for an event platform for our big annual event for virtual.
Yeah.
And there's a couple we liked, but it was like, you got to do your due diligence. And it was, I'm not going to say the name, but it was a big legacy brand that were like, hey, it was like, you got to do your due diligence. Let's review what their offer is for an events side of thing.
Yep.
And I could not be more shocked. But I think I learned something too, is that just because these are big companies doesn't mean they've got it all figured out too, because you're sending me back down memory lane right now.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not trying to trigger you, but I am kind of,
I mean, it's actually kind of nice when the sales experience is that bad. I'm like, within 37 seconds, I'm not buying this.
Yep.
Let's have fun, because they're going to try and sell me for the next 30.
Yeah.
So we had fun with it instead.
I dig it. So whenever you're looking at tools, I guess, what's most important to you? What are you prioritizing in making decisions? What are you looking at? What kind of factors are in play?
I mean, it totally depends. For some of like the ones I mentioned, like the editing stuff, it's just super functionality. How can we do something? We're a lean team and we would like to do stuff in-house. What are the things that can help us do things at scale? The time-consuming stuff that's like on my plate, my team's plate, all the post-production, those pieces. But I would say as well for maybe bigger purchases, and we don't have too many like big purchases on the content side, but like for events platform, for example, our community platform is like the partnership aspect. So tech can only do so much, especially with community stuff. It's like we're building our community strategy, and I want a partner to share what customers have done that's successful, or here's something, there's a virtual meetup and this worked with a customer, you should try it. Having that sort of partnership element with like kind of this smaller growing company we've been working with on the community side, I've loved. Like, especially when you've got a lot of priorities, a lot of things, it's like having someone that's a domain expert that's not just like, here, take our tech and run with it. Has been like probably the biggest thing for buying software.
So you kind of talked a little bit about word of mouth. How is that factor into your buying process? Do you talk to people, in your network?
I do. I think it is like word of mouth is like, obviously it's like jump into a community, hey, what do you think? Or like DM someone, what do you think? We've done that a little bit. Honestly, there's like the word of mouth is just like when you see someone using it more and more and sharing it more and more, it's sort of a little bit of influencer marketing, but also just people genuinely like, hey, this is what I'm using to get through the day kind of thing. I'd say like that's been the biggest piece I think I found so far. But in terms of word of mouth, it's just like your trusted network, right?
So one of the things that we're doing at UserEvidence is introducing a new term, so customer evidence. When you hear customer evidence, what does that mean to you?
Proof points. Customer evidence. Proof points. Proof points, social proof, the truth, advocacy.
I like that. I might have to borrow that in some of the messaging.
You can take it.
What's the best way, I mean, I'm sure you probably have to do this in your role, to get customer evidence for Klue?
And shout out Suman, our customer marketer extraordinaire. I think it's just having like happy customers and knowing who's a happy customer, knowing who are the people that are like real champions. I think there's different components. There's different folks. Some people are really keen to like, not just share how they use the tool, but like share their expertise with the world. And so like, honestly, some of the biggest things we've done are our owned events, internal events, customer mentorship, where it's like, hey, it feels good if you're a customer, you're a power user, you're killing it. We want you to show others how you're using Klue today. And that's being huge, whether it's even just like how to do competitive intel slightly better, or how to use Klue for review insights better, how do you build your battle cards, like different things like that. Putting them, I don't want to say on a pedestal, but you know what I mean? Like pumping them up as like, you have insights to share. It's not just us as the experts, this is how you should do it. That's been like I'd say a big part, and giving them the platform to connect with others. Some people like the shine of being on stage too. If it's a happy customer, a big customer, a really person that's been in the space forever. So those have been like kind of these marketing activities, but none of that happens as well if the customer's not successful to start with and build the relationship and like you understand sort of where their world is too. So I think like a combination of those things.
Love that. All right, so here's a big question. How do you build trust in marketing?
How do you build trust in marketing? How do you build trust in marketing? Dang.
And there's not a wrong answer.
I know. Now we can
But it's the secret sauce. Yeah.
It is for sure. I think I lean on brand, which is a really fluffy term there for trust. I think, and brand, I think trust like leans into brand, and brand would be one, are you informed in what you're talking about? Do you know I can't cuss, can I?
No.
Do you know your stuff?
We can cuss.
Do you know
we can beep it out.
your things? Do you know what you're talking about? First and foremost, like building trust, like if you were to come talk to me about whatever, like if everything that UserEvidence does, customer evidence, and you're sharing your point of view on that, and this is your domain, I'm probably going to trust you a bit more. I'm going to be, next time I'm thinking about someone with customers, how do I work with them? Probably going to think towards you, Mark, and UserEvidence. So I think like knowing what the heck you're talking about is the first one. And then I think there's like this second piece around, this is like the content brain of things, is like, there's just so much noise. There's like so much stuff out there. You're getting like constantly bombarded with stuff. So doing things, I always go like pattern breaking. So with your content, the way you like share stuff, it's like, how are you breaking the pattern with someone that's like scrolling social or gonna think they're tuning into a boring webinar and you're capturing them? Like things you're doing to like kind of jolt them a little bit to get their attention to make it more memorable, because knowing stuff and being really smart doesn't make you good at marketing. It can build a pillar of trust, but I think if you mix that in with having sort of that pattern break entertainment, like focus on how you market, it's like, I'm going to roll my eyes here, but like the edutainment kind of lane, I think is like the best way to build trust right now.
I love that. All right, last question unplanned of that kind of pattern interrupts. What's one of the best things that you've tried recently that you've seen work at Klue?
Ooh, so we've done with a couple of our shows on the Compete Network. There's like, we've done some podcasts, but there's like a huge video element to a lot of the things we've done, video series. Honestly, it's like, because sometimes B2B's at like lag amount of time. Some of these like video series.
Sometimes.
a little bit. I'll put ourselves a little bit into, but like I think what we're doing is forward thinking, but we take so many examples from B2C influencers out there, and like even with our video series stuff is like the YouTube inspo. You got off the hook in like 4 seconds. Like why are you watching? And it's what's the really provocative thing? Like don't clickbait, but like what's the thing that's going to capture someone in 4 seconds? That's kind of been the hook. That's been a huge success for us on the video side. I think another one, and it's funny, I know camera's there, I'm looking over at him right now, but we launched a show with 3 creators. 2 of them are here actually, 3 killer product marketers, Jason Oakley, Tamara Kaminsky, Andy McCuller.
That show is awesome.
It's pretty badass. They did a great job. The crew, Grayson, Klue team branding on it, killed it. But what I loved was pattern breaking and building up interest ahead of launch. So podcasts are like a slow burn. You don't get a big following overnight unless you're a big, unless you're like, I don't know, you're LeBron James and you're dropping your podcast, everyone's going to follow it, right? But what we did with that was like little teasers of what was coming. It was like, hey, we're partnering with Klue on something, these influencers. We did little like little teaser what the branding might be. And we did it week over week. And like the amount of feedback we shared in a quarterly review is like, we had like hundreds of thousands of impressions of like all of their posts. And people were like, what's this? Like, can't wait, what's coming? And so we started to build up this hype, and then we dropped it like, hey, this is coming, and had like, I think we had like 300 subscribers like before an episode had dropped, which is
unreal.
Like, we're playing like a niche space, so it was like a pretty dope start. Like, already getting like thousands of downloads, and it was an element of just doing like these build up, and then also that what I mentioned before, like the video hooks, the video teasers, like that's a huge part of now the ongoing promotion too, like incorporating video. But I think just like the build up to that is something we've learned works, and like would highly recommend to anyone else that's doing stuff with marketing or trying to do something a little bit different with their content. Yeah, and I kind of noticed from afar what you were doing as you were building that up to the show launch, and I was really impressed. So yeah, well, you think about not like the inspo as well. If you not even B2C, but like we're thinking about like, so our marketing team was obsessed with Succession, and I need to watch the show. Everyone keeps talking about. I know. Yes. Really? That's all right. I won't hold that against you. But what, like, even with any of those big shows when it's not last season, is they do that road show tour. Like, they go into press conferences. They're doing all these things that like build up anticipation. Obviously, that's a huge one. But like, there's so much work. It's almost like a product launch, and you've got that product marketing background. So you need to do so much pre-launch build up. You can't just drop it and then hope folks will like download, subscribe, follow you. I think the launch is like the biggest opportunity, like is your lightning strike moment to capture a decent chunk of people and then it kind of builds from there. But
Yep.
I think if you're not focused on that like lightning stroke moment, you're kind of climbing an uphill battle a little bit.
I love it. Well, thank you for coming on. This was great. And if this was you without coffee, I want to see you with coffee.
This is all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Awesome.
I'm
Well, thanks, Adam.
I'm stoked for this. Thank you. Shout out UserEvidence.